on just living that way. So this is important because in World Bank's calculations, they say how much money do you spend determines what your welfare is. Now, that cannot be the same story for Uganda, especially if you consider that we don't spend on energy that much, except if you want to run valves in the night or if you're spending on industry and other production activities. So that is important to point out from the start that this weather you see now in Phoenix, which is very pleasant, is what we experience, as a matter of fact, every single day. And I did take it for granted until I came to Phoenix. And I was confronted with temperatures way above 100 Fahrenheit, which is like almost reaching 40 degrees Celsius. And for the first time, I realized how pleasant actually Uganda is. And over the winter break, I went to the east. I got battered by cold, which was actually minus 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And I said, oh, actually, Uganda is very beautiful. I didn't quite know that. So these are some of the things that I can just show you. This picture was taken by my friend and mentor, Kefa Atibuni, this weekend. He was just driving from an up-country town and to the capital, and this you find on the road, and people throw, corn through the window for them, and they pick and they run, and so you have a game when you're driving over there. It's gifted by nature. So because it lies on the equator and the weather is very good, we have unlimited access to fresh food, which you just pluck off from the garden, and you can have this in your backyard. And part of the reason why this is important is actually that you don't need to, some people don't actually see money in 1 month, but they feed very well because you get vegetables from the backyard, you go and get fresh beans from the garden, you get bananas over there, or your fruit cassava, all organic, nice food. So that's part of something that I might be missing here. And we have very nice places to go and spend your money, especially if you want to go and spend it. Now, this particular stuff is very important because I learned later that about 105 years ago today, the former president of the US, Theodore Roosevelt, camped 30 miles, approximately 30 miles from where I was born in the rural part of northwestern Uganda. In fact, she had gone on a hunting expedition. And I was wondering why that place is actually named in English, because it's called Rhino Camp. It was a camp for rhino. So when he came there, the New York Times did report the story that he was able to shoot, and kill a young rhino the night he arrived. And I said, wait a minute, actually, now I know why this place is called Rhino Camp. So this shows, theoretically, the relationship between Uganda and the United States. But at that time, this part of the country was a part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But the argument I want to make, which is very simple otherwise, is that what the hunting then will be watching today, but that has helped reshape Uganda's relationship with the United States. And the United States invests about $740 million US each year in Uganda. Most of that money is spent on health, security, and agriculture. And I'll expand on the subject of security cooperation. In fact, as we speak tonight, we expect the U.S. Undersecretary for Civilian Security, Sarah, to be in Uganda. She's been on a whirlwind tour of East Africa after her trip in Colombo. Now, Uganda is a country, or Uganda is a people who are very warm at heart. The hospitality is legendary, and clearly we care and we're very empathetic to people. We have a sense of belonging, a sense of community, and we think that a child actually belongs to the community and not the parents. I'm going to play a video. Yeah, so. And that, for me, is one of the most resourceful things for our country because it keeps neighborhood watch. Everybody is the brother's keeper. In fact, my colleague Priscilla said when she came, she just told the neighbors, I'm going to the United States. My kids are here, 3 of them. You've got to find out to take care of them. They need to be safe. And you know that there had been serious Ebola problems in Liberia. And the neighbors were fine. Said, fine, wish you well, go. These are our children, they'll grow up. That is very fundamental because it helps instill early in life the value system that is important when people grow up. When growing up as a child, got punished by my neighbors, and whenever I offended, and they'll bring me to my parents and say, this guy committed this crime. I tended to be a little bit naughty. Now I probably am not as naughty as I used to be. And actually, your parents would have no qualms with the neighbor and say, thank you very much. This was very good. Because if a kid grows up and becomes a criminal or a problem for society, he doesn't rob from the parents. He robs the neighbors. kilos from other people, which is why the family value is very important still in Uganda, as in for the most of Africa. And we don't despise. We take people for who they are and have a very genuine relationship. And that engagement for us is a capital investment because it shapes our overall interaction and the wealth, health, and growth of societies. Let's take this video.
So here's a clip showing the subtle difference between Gordon Brown and Barack Obama. Here they are arriving at number 10, and look at this lucky policeman gets to shake hands with the President of the United States. Oh, here comes the Prime Minister of it. No.
Now, let's talk typically an Ugandan and an African, because we think that a human being has a value by the very fact of their existence. Tonight, I want to introduce you a caliber of Ugandans that probably you've never heard about. Because for the long part, Uganda had been known by the brutality of Idi Amin, and he came to symbolize what we as a people are. Far from it, today, I'm introducing to you the following people. Kwasi, who was the first black NASA flight control director. His dad comes from Uganda. Professor Ami Otunu is the UNESCO chair in comparative human rights here in the United States, and the first one. That one, Winnie Byanyima, is the executive director of Oxfam International. Sam Kutesa is the president of the United Nations General Assembly, and Archbishop Sentamu she's the second highest person in the Anglican Church. That guy is number 2 at the United Nations. He's called George Obo. He was just appointed in February, so he's the second highest person in the UNHCR. Now, I introduce those people because you never hear about them. I'm trying to hazard the thought that this probably is your first time to hear about them. Why? Because they did not fit the typical African story. They were not like kids over whose noses flies were buzzing. They were not sort of shipped here by NGOs that can break through lobby groups and have an access to the front pages of New York Times or any other national publication. They couldn't feature probably prominently or even be consulted as experts to speak on African issues because the understanding is that Uganda or Africa does not have the capacity to produce people who can play a game-changing role on the international stage. Now, that's what my friend Untold sometimes disagrees with, which is that he says there tends to be a question on a topic like this to cast a story as to nature against nature, which is, would a Ugandan or an African thrive as much if they were in another environment? Or would the people in another environment perform as good or better if they were in Africa or another part of the developing world? Now, I raise this because I think it is part of what shapes the African narrative. Let me now delve into what I consider the most important success stories for Uganda over the last several years. Thank you very much. Over the last several years. One is the anti-apartheid struggle. In fact, Uganda was very invested in the liberation of South Africa, that it opened up its land to act as a training camp for the African National Congress Youth Wing. And today there's actually a barracks established there, which is called the Oliver Tambo School of Leadership. So that was its contribution and had very serious ramifications that I'm not able to delve into as a result of constraints of time. The second is HIV/AIDS. Uganda became the poster child for fight against the pandemic in the world because it adopted a more open policy of abstinence, being faithful to your partner, or using condom if you have to have sex. And that drove down the HIV prevalence rate from double digits of about 27 to 5.7. Of course, over the last couple of years, it has tended to go up as a result of complacency and abandonment of the ABC policy, which many countries came to learn about and adopt. The third issue that I want to raise about Uganda's success is in the creation of South Sudan and the modern-day Rwanda. When the world folded charm, the Rwandan people who actually fought and liberated that country got their training, got their support, and used Uganda as the back to support the operations for the 1994 successful liberation of that country. And in South Sudan, our soldiers are still invested there in trying to sort of stabilize the country, and they fought along the SPLA to get that country to exist. There's the issue of the Lord's Resistance Army. Of course, you know that the Lord's Resistance Army leader, Joseph Kony, is one of the world's most wanted leaders. And I should say that this is where American engagement in Uganda is at its highest. There's the joint operation which Uganda is leading right now in a number of East African countries. In fact, Uganda has more troops in active combat operations outside of the country than any other country in the world. We have troops in South Sudan, troops in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic, and of course, we contribute the biggest contingent for the African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia. That for the first time managed to flush out the Al-Shabaab from Mogadishu. And some of you may be very familiar with the story of the Black Hawk incident in 1993, where actually American choppers were shot down and the special forces were killed and their bodies dragged on the streets. And they abandoned that country. And for decades, there was no rule there until Uganda got in March 2007, supported of course by other countries, Burundi, Djibouti, Ethiopia now, and Kenya. And so there's a lot of stability coming in there. So that's the role Uganda is playing in regional peace and security. Right. The other one is the issue of hosting refugees. Uganda is present. Ordinary people give out their land. They don't have as much, but because they appreciate the value of humanity, they offer their land out and say, come and settle here. You've been displaced from your country. There's nothing much I can do for you, but at least I have a land where you can squat. And so Uganda has, according to UNHCR figures, presently 540 to about 690,000 refugees, mainly from Congo, from South Sudan, from Eritrea, and there are about 100 stateless people who are also in Uganda. The other aspect is of fighting Ebola. When the world went helter-skelter over the issue of Ebola, Uganda got its workforce there because we've had Ebola episodes for 4 times since 2000. And so there is a national emergency task force, and we took this expertise together with other countries and supported by global actors to go there. And in fact, the African Union team was led precisely by a Ugandan called Major General Julius Oketa, who after the Ebola issue was settled in Liberia, received the Distinguished Service Order, the DSO of Liberian government. So we engaged across the African continent and internally in many game-changing activities. I also want to talk about the issue of mobile telephone communication, where there's mobile money transfers that has helped bring on board people who were outside the commercial banking system. And now there are about 17 million people, roughly 18 million people, who are on mobile money transferring this to the villages, and economic activity is booming. And the last is, of course, oil and gas, which is coming up for exploitation in 2018. And we do hope from that time, Uganda will be a far better place. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Deborah. We will have time for questions at the end. We've asked, would you sign that and pass it down? We've asked our fellows to stick to 15 minutes so that we've got some good time at the end. And Leila, if you'd like to come up next.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Leela Ahuja, I'm from Nepal. So today I have a different story than Tabu. So I would like to share 2 things about South Asian nation. The first one is the South Asian. The first one is the South Asian nations representation in the world's economy and politics, and the second one is the success story about Nepal. So this is the picture of South Asian nations leader. Nepal was hosting South Asian Regional Summit in Kathmandu this last November. This is from right side. This is from Afghanistan, and this lady, Prime Minister from Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and Maldives, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. They are the head states of the nation. So these countries actually represents the world's most prominent sector in politics and economy, because Afghanistan and Pakistan are also including there. I think as you already may know about the Afghanistan and Pakistan politics in the world phenomena. So I'd like to talk about South Asian nations' economic impact in the world. South Asian nation, especially, I think many people know about the as a poorest region in the country, but South Asian people, we have a 20% population of the world in South Asia, and poor people are more than half of the world population live in South Asia. But also a lot of South Asian people are eager to eager to um, eager to how to say, lot of South Asian people are eager to help improve their developing improve, improve their develop their countries by themselves. So, for example, in India, India is going to India is a India is very emerging country to the world's economy, and most of the, according to folks, most of the South Asian, most of the richest people from South Asia after the United States of America and China. So I would say South Asia has a lot of South Asian nation has a lot of potentiality for growing economy, and but also South Asian region has some political dispute between Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. So if we able to solve this political dispute between Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India, maybe we will solve the 80% problem from Asia. So this is the, so I would say the most this factor represents the world's global represents the world's economy and global dilemma. So in third sector, I would like to talk about economic ties between SAARC region. This is Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal are considered as a South Asian region. So this South Asian region they have own economic ties. So this is called South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. This was established in 1985 for the for promoting regional long-term peace and prosperity within the region. So this country have their own entity, and they works importantly they works for agriculture, economy, trade and economy, agriculture, trade and economy, poverty elevation, and in energy. So I would like to take some key trading sector from South Asian region. Agriculture. Agriculture is the key to driving economic sector in South Asia. So, especially in South Asian region, they trade agro-based product and goods from within the region. For example, crops, wheat, jute, and other agro-based products and goods. So, similarly, we have a regional exchange for human capital and education. South Asian region has have some collaboration between the exchange idea and expertise within the region. So they recently established a South Asian university for fulfilling this objective. So I would like to show this video for a moment. So how?
I came here because I wanted to explore different cultures.
I came here to gain international opportunities.
I came here to learn about cooperation.
Conceptualized by leading intellectuals of the South Asian region, proclaimed by India's Prime Minister at the 13th SAARC Summit 2005 in Dhaka, established by the governments of the 8 member nations of SAARC. Located in New Delhi, South Asian University is an international institution offering internationally recognized degrees.
All learning
consists of from the near to the far. So we must first understand our neighbors. We must learn to live together, grow together, have a consciousness that nurtures each other, and then only can we reach out to the entire global polity and make our way there. All the governments have come together to form this university. We draw faculty from the entire region, we draw students from the entire region. So, in a way, it is a unique experiment in nurturing young minds through plurality, through multidisciplinarity.
It was a very grand idea. Wherever it comes from, if a brilliant idea comes, you have to help it and you have to, make sure it happens. You have students from Pakistan and India and Sri Lanka, all of whom, and Bangladesh, all of whom have border issues at the level of the nation state. And so how do you talk to these guys in a class when these issues remain unresolved outside? So that to me is a major challenge. But so far, what is interesting is even though we have these kinds of things going on in our borders and in our politics, it has never really become an issue in the classrooms.
We are here from all the SAARC countries. We have all put aside our differences and come together. This is a really good basis for education.
To meet the people from all over the region and to learn from them is really amazing. I was myself very excited to tell them about my country.
So this video shows the mutual collaboration between South Asian region. So now I would like to talk about my countries. Nepal is located in between two giant countries, China and India. So it has a 14 development region and 75 districts within the country. So we have almost 30 million population. So I would say Nepal is recently recovered from almost 1 decade long civil war. So now, since the end of civil war in 2006, Nepal has transforming into violence to peace and autocracy to democracy. So I think that is the greatest achievement so far for Nepal. So now, importantly, we have four major things is increasingly. So I have put some pictures. Yeah. So we have importantly four sectors has been progressing after the civil war movement. That is media, civil society, women's role, and tourism sector. So this, as you see this picture, the 7 Nepalese politician women are meeting in Secretary John Kerry, US Secretary John Kerry. So Nepalese women have a lot of change after the civil war because they were the part of rebellion during the civil war. So after end of the civil war, Nepalese government decided to reserve the seat for women in the parliament. So after that, Nepal ranks 14th position globally for sending the woman in the parliament. So this is one of the greatest improvement after the civil rights for women in Nepal. And similarly, other sector also women holds a different prominent position in other banking, corporate, and business sector in Nepal. So nowadays, Nepalese women are becoming a professional to compare to past decades. Similarly, civil society are also active after the end of insurgency because they are directly working with people and community to protect the people's right and pressurize the government and stakeholders for the people. So that is also one of the considerable improvement after the civil war. And media, obviously, we didn't have much media freedom before the civil war, and but now we have during the civil war, there were dozens of journalists were killed and disappeared. But now we have a lot of freedom and we have a lot of diversity of media, and people have readers have a lot of choice toward the media. So that is also the one of the greatest improvement. And obviously in tourism sector, we have a lot of investment in tourism sector, and a lot of tourists are coming Nepal to visit every year, and Nepal is really earning millions of dollars from millions of tourists. So these things are main improving area after the civil war. Then other things is also Nepal is also work in progress in other things. So this is the media now these days in Nepal. So so I would like to conclude this presentation. So as a conclusion, I would say Nepal has a lot of progress, but still Nepal is Nepal is on the way of progressing. So we have some, obviously, if we see any civil war history, it was not changed overnight. So we are definitely in work in progress, but we have to do a lot. So we have a lot of uncertainty for investment and political unstable political situation. People are fearful to invest within the region, and they want to invest foreign country rather to invest in within the country. So that is our our weak point maybe. And then also we are losing the foreign direct investment before of instability, because of instability. And political situation is also our multi-party government system has already failed to write the constitution 2 times, so they are struggling to write constitution on deadline. So that is the thing we are just struggling now. So thank you for attention. Sorry, I'm working mindly, so I would have a little bit.
Show your last slide with your great mountain.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Her neighbor, literally here at Cronkite and around the world, is Intizar. And I don't know where you're at. There. Okay. Super. Did you get it?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bill and Christine, for making this happen, and thank you all for appearing today. I'm selling something you all must buy, because I'm talking about death and life issue, about the government debacles, ignominious defeat. Today I'm talking about one of the fundamental issues that the American society believe in. That's humanity, that's democracy, that's helping nations to stand on their own feet. So I have a lot to say today, because the topic is very big. It's terrorism and who is the enemy. And most importantly, I will be talking about the insurgencies happening in the world, and most importantly, Afghanistan in developing country. But I will be very quick. I will clock my voice, my feelings. So if you have any question, then I will come up with that later on. So today I'm talking about some of the specific of Afghanistan. We have a republic system, we have constitution, we have 34 states, we have 375 districts, and we have municipalities. We have everything in the world if any developing nation has as a structure. But there is a lot of things that we have to do. There's a lot of things that we have to solve that. In order to make this nation successful and blessed, in order to compete with the world, in order to go shoulder by shoulder with the regional countries, we have to do a lot. So we have this kind of structure. As you know, when I was a child, so my mom was telling me that the heart is like that. So you see the map of Afghanistan like the heart. So if heart have problem, whole body have a problem. So if this map, if Afghanistan have a problem, so regional countries have a problem. So the world have a problem. So let's make this heart, this map, this country secure and stable, so all the people in the world will be secured. We have a kind of development since 2001. We have centralized system in central government along with the overarching influence on the district level. And we did not have a private sectors, private investment in 2001. Now we have 16 billion private investment in Afghanistan. So compare, in 2001, 30 years of infamous infighting, in internecine, destroyed the structure, the society, the democracy of a country. But right now, we have everything that a developing country have. Again, we did not have any free media in 2000 until 2001. We started the media work in 1996. That was the first magazine in newspaper. It's called Siraj al-Akhbar. And after that, the coups, there was fights, there was like kind of killings. This was like killing tit for tat, feuds, and just like what fight all the time for power. So all the things, all the foundation basis of democratic society has been demolished. Now what do we have? In media, we have 500 publications. We have 76 TV channels. We have 175 radio stations and a lot others. So if you have any question at the end, I think I can flesh out more on it. But what I have to talk today about is the future need for unanimity and strategic plans. You know this man, his name is McChrystal, and he was the US commander in Afghanistan. He said, civilian casualties are one of the stumbling block toward the unanimity between the Afghan government and between the United States, the NATO member countries. We have to care of the civilian casualties. You know, John Kerry in Qaeda, the United Nations envoy to Afghanistan, and this is Secretary Gate. He mentioned in his book, Secretary at War, that civilian casualties and nitrates were one of the most difficult things that we were grappling with that. So this is important that in case we are dealing with a kind of tribal structure like Afghanistan, we have to think of the tribal dynamisms, the cultural facts, the societal principles. If we do not care of that, definitely we are just like breaking our teeth by ourselves. We are digging our own grave by our own hands. We are jinxing ourselves. So for the future of the Afghanistan and for the future of the United Nations involvement in any developing countries, we have to ensure we are respecting the cultural principle of any society. The arrogance we have, that will be the reason that will really demolish our prestige in the world. So again, there is one fundamental issue that we have to discuss on it too. That's a clear definition of friends and foe. You know, for the last 1 decade in Afghanistan, we spent $2.2 trillion in the Afghan war. 2,334 American sons and daughters died in Afghanistan. 20,000 Afghan civilians killed. As per the report of General Campbell, 7,000 to 9,000 Afghan soldiers have been died in 2013. They are the sons of a father. They are a member of a family. The American sons and daughters who have this kind of luxury life, they're going to Afghanistan in order to do something they do not know. I think that's very hard. Let me give an example. In 2009, when Vice President Joe Biden went to Afghanistan, he met with the President Karzai, and then he met with the American soldiers in Afghanistan. He said, why we are here? All of them were said, I do not know. Only one person said that, oh, we want to rebuild Afghanistan. Oh my gosh. Soldiers do not rebuild Afghanistan. Soldiers just fight enemy to cripple them, to paralyze them. So if a soldier handed 100,000 soldiers, American soldiers, were staying in Afghanistan and they did not know what they are doing, how the mission can be achieved, how the mission can succeed. So this is important that we have to understand, or we would have to understand that who is the enemy and who is the war. We have three kind of neighbors. One is Russia, it kind of far, India and Pakistan, and we have Iran. We have two kind of neutral neighbor. That's China and India, and we have Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. We have to understand the rule of every single neighbor of Afghanistan if we are really determined to bring democracy to the people of Afghanistan. That's the important thing that we have to understand. So my understanding in my 30 years life, as I'm just working, like moving heaven and earth in order to understand what really we are doing in this world. If we do not know where we are going, we never know when we will be reaching to our destination. First of all, we have to understand who we are, what we are doing, where we are going. That's important, but unfortunately, in the last decade, we were just so confused in definition of that. So again, there are some priority sectors for immediate attention in Afghanistan. You see here the economic development is very, very important. You know, peace. Taliban will be reconciled, and I hope that that will be done. Maybe my president and the executive officer will be coming to Washington in 25th March, hopefully, and they'll be talking with the White House and other John Kerry and other people about the modality of peace. I hope we will do peace this time. We should have honest hand. We should have honest voice. If we are gambling, if we are making a brinksmanship, if we are playing polo play, I think we will be losing this game. So the peace is one of the important things that all people like that. Corruption. Among 193 countries, 89 countries of the world, Afghanistan was one of the 186 most corrupt country in the world. Why? It was not only Afghans. It was the NATO member countries in the 53 international organizations in the countries. 90% of all the budget came to Afghanistan was spending through the international channels. Only 7% of the money just gone through the channel of Afghanistan. Only very lately, only 50% of the money was going through the channel of Afghanistan. The rest of the money were going through international community. Who was there? Maybe they just like put all the money in their pocket. 75% of every $1 went back to the international community who spent in Afghanistan. So do not blame Afghanistan. Should be the most corrupt country. Definitely there are some warlords, gun lords, or warmonger people. There's a lot of people who just like playing their game for the benefit of others. But Afghanistan is a very tiny country. 27 million people live there. And I think we have a lot of malicious, vicious, close and far friends in countries who are exerting their influence in Afghanistan. So make sure that the honesty, the clarity, the veracity is the fundamental foundation that we have to take care of that. So beyond the battlegrounds, my advice for the United States and for the NATO member countries, if they want to involve in the future, they have to respect the tribal elders. Tribal elders is a chieftain, a person who have one voice, and all people are obeying that. They have to subjugate that. In the last 13 years, we were so off the track. We didn't care of the rule of the tribal elders. The second is the religious rule of religious leaders. You know, here in no democracy, after 13 years, we were just trying to institutionalize this edge of democracy, human rights, and now this person said no democracy. Why? Because we did not institutionalize, we did not inject it, the word of democracy in their minds. What we have to do, we have to institutionalize something in the base. We cannot play with the fire, just like say, oh, bring democracy in a society where it's like, they suffer for 50 and 100 years with no democracy, and we just bring democracy, Western gift to Afghanistan. No, that doesn't happen. What you have to do, inject it in every single mind. You see there, this person, how serious, anger this person is. Do you know him? What he says? He said that, my life for Muhammad. My life for Muhammad means you have to respect the religion of Afghanistan and the religion of Islamic countries. He said, my life for Muhammad, I die for Muhammad. So if I die for Muhammad, I don't care of anybody. You have to respect my religion. Okay, the third thing I'm talking about is here is the cultural fox. You know, the nitrates. Don't enter to the house of Afghans without getting a permission. If you enter, you just dig your own grave by your own hand. Don't do that. You are patrolling by dark. Don't do that. You are making civilian casualties. Don't do that. God forbid, if any child of our family killed by someone for no reason, will you pardon him? No, we will just take the revenge. We will just go out and do whatever we can in order to take the vengeance of that. So the fundamental thing is right now, what is terrorism and who is the enemy? Okay, Taliban, 25,000 Taliban are fighting right nowadays in Afghanistan, right? In 350,000 Afghan security forces plus 150,000 international forces fight tooth and nail, move heaven and earth to defeat Taliban. They could not. Really? They're spook, they're true, they're evil. Do you see him? Can you touch him? Do you have a definition for that? I'm surprised. I'm puzzled with this kind of enigma. 25,000 people cannot be defeated by 500,000 people along with the tanks and armored vehicles and drones and blind blood. I'm surprised. So we missed the definition of this who is the enemy. 89 people killed and 65 injured in Paktika province of Afghanistan in Taliban anywhere. Extremism, insurgents, Taliban or ISIS or anybody just came to the ground where people were playing volleyball. He just blew him up and killed this much people. Maybe this is the enemy. I think we just mislead the definition of that. I think this is the enemy. You see here the civilian casualty, the child killed in Kunar province. And I think we just fought against the children of Afghanistan. I think these were the enemy. Or maybe not. I think this will be the enemy. This is one of the American soldiers who came into Afghanistan, lost his feet, and now he's shouldered by his wife. This is the enemy. I think we mislead. I think this wonderful and beautiful lady is the enemy of the United States and the United American countries. They've been to Afghanistan, they lost their life, they returned back, and there's no any tangible outcome. Maybe this is the enemy. Or maybe not. This is the enemy. 70,000 of Pashtun tribe in Afghanistan, the majority of Afghan's population has been killed. More than 1,000 drones has been attacked by Taliban. So they are disgruntled, they are displeased. I think these are the real enemy in Afghanistan. So we just we confuse ourselves finding the definition of enemy in Afghanistan. Maybe this is the enemy. This is one of the vice president of Afghanistan nominees for the position of vice president of Afghanistan. There is a cultural and religious gathering, and he's checking his Facebook, and he's in a seno. I was just showing his face, but I scared because he said, I'm warlocked. I will kill you if you show my face. Civil society, media, democracy, all these are just nonsense. It's like a military boondoggle. Don't believe on it. Until the youngster just emerge and take the power. Or maybe this is not the enemy, this is the enemy. Intezar, this is the president of Afghanistan, the ministers, the other, and this is me in the helicopters. We were just moving from one state to another. I'm the enemy because when I turn back to my home country, I will be killed by Taliban or by insurgent or by ISIS. I'm the enemy because you just endanger my life when you just come out from Afghanistan in 2014 and just you live in the hell. I think I'm the enemy. Maybe or maybe not. These are the loopholes in Afghanistan that we have to take care of that. This is the power sharing government. President Ghani won the election, but now executive officer one country with two presidents. So what it mean really? It mean like that. So we have power shared with two presidents. So when we decide on anything, so this kind of things happen. Maybe this is the democracy in Afghanistan, the power sharing government after 2014. The basement and the top. If there is a small earthquake, everything can be demolished. Or maybe not. I think this is really democracy. You see the lock and you see the center. So this is the democracy engendered in Afghanistan for the last 13 years. This is really democracy in Afghanistan. One side bright, but one side dark. We have to make sure the other side is also getting brighter. Oh, there's some people who are just disgruntled. What we have to do, this is the thing we have to ensure. We have to work on the national project, not individual project. Number two, we have to make peace. Number three, we have to bring internal capacities, and that's all. We have to make Afghanistan stand on their own feet. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we'll hang up.
All right, if we could have Leila and Tefu come back up and join Intezar, and we'll spend our last 10 minutes in question land. And we've certainly been prompted to hear from lots of different topics. Who's got the first one? Any of them? I'll get out of the way here. Come up, three of you. Intezar, I'll fire off one while our audience is waiting. So what is the success story of Afghanistan? I saw, from your perspective, what are some of maybe the unsuccessful pieces of Afghanistan, and a certain wonderful variety of definitions, leaving in my mind who is the enemy, but where's the success? Is
The success is me. I'm the success. I have tie, I have suits, and I have shoes. I have mind, I have voice, I have courage. I'm in the United States. Thousands and thousands others are like me. There's media, there's development, there's everything we have. I told you that every single piece United States people have, we have that. But what we have to do is we have to build on our achievements, our developments. Still, there's a lot of positive things happening in the world, in Afghanistan, but there's still a long, long way to go. So I'm not saying nothing happened. Afghanistan is unlikely to be matched with 2001 or beyond, but there is a long way to go. When President Obama said that, okay, we are just done with the Afghan mission in 2014 and all the solutions should come out, and in 2017, only 500 of the American people will stay along with the employees of the embassy, I'm so blown up. I'm so honored with that. Sir, are you sure that you are doing the right decision? Are you not kidding us? Are you not hoodwinking the American society now? You're a nice man, but make Afghanistan be more successful in the future.
Questions?
I have
Yes,
a question
please.
along the same lines for Leela from Nepal. Leela, you talked about some of the challenges that Nepal faces. What are some of the successes that Nepal has had that would encourage more investment in Nepal?
Yeah, I really couldn't figure out your question. Can you repeat it, please?
What are some reasons for companies and universities to invest in Nepal?
Yeah, the main reason of insecurity of investment is political instability, because we have a multi-party system, and even Maoists are transforming into the peace process, but still people are fearful from them, because they again, just as this last November, that last January 22 was our constitution making deadline, but they failed to meet this deadline because of multi-party contention. The main reason of contention was the how to use the power, how to share power, and how to make the federal system, and how to give basically in power for a different ethnic group, because we have more than hundreds of ethnic groups, and they want, like every group wants as a ethnical province and state, and that is practically not like realistic. So that is the main reason, and they are just threatening again. They are still in press process, but people are fearful from them. And if someone suppose invest in open a small business, and immediately after tomorrow they will send a letter to you to ask money. So from where you invest this much money, and you should give that much percent of us every month or every year, or like that. And they are really fearful. And Nepalese people, many people are investing in India, because we have borderless, we don't have border, and many of them invest in Thailand and other countries rather to Nepal. So that is the main challenges for investment. Yeah.
In terms of Uganda, you mentioned accomplishments, peace and security, acceptance of refugees, being involved in task forces such as that of Ebola. Who are the friends of Uganda in the world, countrywide? I mean, who are most of your relations with? Who's most of your trade with? Because as you say, and my other Ugandan friends say, there's an image back with Idi Amin that many people have not progressed beyond. Who are you connected to?
It's a fairly broad geopolitical question. Uganda's biggest trading partner have been the immediate neighbor. In fact, for a longer time, it had been South Sudan until the war broke out in December 2013. But Uganda continues to engage on a wide range of subjects across the world. And so on the matter of security cooperation, the United States, Uganda is the United States' strongest security ally in the Great Lakes region, which, as you will understand, is actually a security fault line for the most part of it, because Eastern Congo is still, a basket case there. South Sudan has serious problems. Uganda also has questions about what the transition will be from our current president, who has been in power for 29 years, to the next leader. And we have never had peaceful power transfer since independence in 1962. And so there are real questions of the sustainability of the peace right now, depending on how that transition happens. But in terms of who our neighbors are, Uganda deals with all countries across the world, depending on the interest obtaining at the time.
Go, Richard, and then we'll go back here.
In the past programs, we've talked and we've learned about how the younger generation has oftentimes have different perspectives and offer different potentials. How about in your countries? Is there much tension between what has younger people, or I would assume that not everyone is like you, that's who are young.
Yeah, quick answers.
Okay, so like 21% of the African population are living under the age of 30, and 40 to 60% of them are unemployed. In after 2015, that will be a higher rate. So now the power is dispensed between the strongmen of Afghanistan and their cronies. Youngsters are so eager if they are capable to take the power, but that does take time. We need like 10 to 20 years to make sure that the youngsters are coming to the power and take the lead.
Yeah, Uganda's largest population obviously is the young one, and they're getting a lot more education. That's one of the favorable demographic issues for Uganda and for Africa as a whole. But there are also differences of opinion and differences of practice and value systems in the more dot-com class, and then the more orthodox older generation and stuff like that. So there are differences in terms of thinking and approaching issues. But there's also the modernization where, among the younger folk, civilization or modernization tends to be pro-Western rather than and discarding traditional values, and there's an identity question sometimes in value systems with the younger generation.
Yeah, we have the same problem. We have all parties leader are much older, like above 75. Our prime minister is 74 years, and even people can't understand his voice because his old teeth is already gone. So even he doesn't want to hand over his power to the next generation. So that is a problem for older generation. Always want to hold the power, and we have definitely we have a lot of young energetic leadership is increasing. I just read last week we have two most powerful young leader in the world. They are chosen by World Economic Forum. They are also listed on this list as a young leader from Nepal. So we have a lot of that kind of potential leader in the young generation.
Great. Okay. Last question.
Yeah, I have tell me a follow-up. Okay, so what's the on your last slide? It was the way difficult. I was trying to read it, but
the way difficult.
Yeah, on your last slide.
The way forward.
Yeah, the way.
Or the way forward, like when I just
it was just a quote that you had. If you don't remember, it's fine. Yeah, but you were saying that you talked of soldiers, and you said soldiers don't know why they're there. And so that is a serious problem for them to have people there who have guns and they don't know why they're there. So, and one thing you also said, one soldier said, is to build Afghanistan. So if the soldiers don't build countries, that's true. So it doesn't mean that you feel we should rather send engineers, we should send teachers, we should send people in public service than soldiers. Or I know there's still need for soldiers, but then do you think there's more need for people in public service building this public?
Well, it's really a trick question to Afghanistan. $2.2 billion has been spent in 4 years on the salaries of the international experts in Afghanistan. And really, Robert Bales, one of the American surgeons, he killed 16 civilians in one of the districts. He went out during the night and he just killed civilians, went into the house and killed, and finally he just came out. And when someone asked him why, he said, I do not know, just I didn't like the faces of these people, that's why I killed. So that was the reason that we did not clarify what their mission are. And most importantly, I just conclude my point in two. Build on the internal expertise of Afghanistan. Number two, work more on the civilian side. The second, flip side of insurgency is poverty. So if there is poverty, insurgency comes automatically. That's the conclusion.
Let's give a round of applause. Take a moment to chat with them personally. We thank you for being part of Contact Global Conversations, and hope we'll continue the conversation online. Thank you all for coming.